Hey, how's it going? So, the judge denies the gag order that the state was seeking. Isn't that funny? The state wanted to shut down George so that he wouldn't be able to tell his side of the story. And I think it's interesting that the state even feels that they have a right to shut down George after all the things that they said about him in the early days. Tons and tons of stuff. The media was involved. Crump, the whole crew, they were lying, they were mixing up facts, and now that all the facts are starting to come out because they're being forced by the judge. The judge is insisting, this new judge is really putting the screws to the prosecution and saying, you provide this information that we feel is necessary for the defense. And it's like the prosecution's looking at the judge and going, but judge, it's not fair. It's just not fair. They're out there talking about the case to people and telling them things that that we didn't want the people to know about. Like all those pictures that Crump said. Remember when Crump saw the video and they asked him questions about the video of the police car? George is getting out of the police car and going into the police department. And it's a grainy video. You really can't see it that well. But they're saying, well, this proves that there is no blood on George. Well, they cleaned him up and all that other stuff. Well, but the media jumped on that. And they ran over to Crump to get his side of the story. Well, Crump, of course, knew all this information because it was available to them through the police department. And the media also have representatives that allow them to have access to a lot of this stuff. So all these pictures that we finally received after many months of fighting with the prosecution, all kinds of information starting to leak out now. Well, it's not leaking. We're just, as it comes out, the defense provides it to the public. But the prosecution doesn't want that. They only wanted to leak out the stuff that made George look bad. Even though it really was stupid information, like the picture at the police department. I mean, George had been cleaned up, and it was a grainy picture. You couldn't see the damage to the back of his head. But here they have Crump saying, oh, this is evidence, and that went on for weeks. So the jury pool's already been tainted. So if the state wants to make it fair, then they should insist that now the jury pool get all the information. Go ahead and tell them all of it, since all that other stuff was leaked out and everybody knows about Trayvon. Everybody knows about it. There's no way you're going to get a jury that has people that don't know about Trayvon. And the majority of the people, unless they've been looking for the information online and seeking it out themselves, don't have it. So personally, I feel that it's important that the state, the legislators come out and change the stand your ground law and put some teeth in it. Because right now it says that there can be no prosecution when George defended himself. He can't be prosecuted, and that's what the law says. But there's no teeth in there to stop the prosecution from doing it anyway. So we need to do something about that. We need to put something in there that says if the prosecution decides to prosecute and we find out that they did it wrongly, that for example George was not guilty and he deserved to be protected under the law, then that prosecutor should be held responsible in several ways. I would like to see Corey lose her job, be disbarred, and pay a nice hefty fine. The state is going to lose a huge amount of money because of this case. If anything, there should be a gag order against the state. Just tell them to shut up. Shut up, Bernie. Really, I mean, if you think about it, they're providing no information to the public that's of any help. It's all biased and prejudiced information. And the prosecution, by law, is supposed to provide the truth and nothing but the truth. They're not supposed to take evidence and twist it around to make it, to spin it so that it looks one way when it should be another way. So Bernie needs to turn over all the information and stop dabbling out little tiny bits of information to the defense in discovery after discovery after discovery. I mean, discovery should be, look, here's all we have. Plop it on the table. There you go. That's discovery. That's a proper discovery. And then if something else comes up later on along the way, then more discovery. That they just didn't know that this was there and it came up at another time. And as soon as they found it, they got it, they gave it to them. That's proper. But that's not what happened in this case. They had all this information way, way, way back. Not only did they not give it, but a lot of the evidence that they gave was incorrect. It was false information. The stuff that they were supposed to have given them about the telephone, Trayvon's telephone. They were supposed to be given the data from the telephone, but instead they got printouts of pictures and printouts of whatever. Come on, that's ridiculous. The state can do better. And then when the state says, well, that's all we got, well, that doesn't mean anything. You're supposed to go out and get it all. What do you mean that's all you got? Bernie, go get the rest. You're supposed to be, that's your job. What, it doesn't help your case, so you're just going to leave it out there? The defense can't get it. The defense doesn't have the power to force it. So they have to go to the judge and insist, and the judge finally will. So it will happen. But in the meantime, look how much money the state of Florida is spending, Bernie. When you see this guy on TV, you got to wonder, really, did he go to the same school Crump went to? What is up with this whole thing? Are they being paid to crucify George? Is that the plan? Because all the evidence right now is on George's side. I don't even know why we're even having a case. I don't understand why the judge doesn't throw this out right now. I'm assuming the judge is waiting for the proper motion to be filed. Once they file the motion to throw the case out, I see no reason why she won't. So apparently they're going to wait until April to do this, which is ridiculous. What are we waiting for? The state obviously can't bring any information to a stand your ground trial that hasn't been discovered to the defense. So let's get this thing on the road. If all the evidence that's out there is that's all there is, then let's go. This is a slam dunk. This is an easy case. Let's go. Finish this thing. Come on. And we all know, all the George supporters know, and we've all known for months now, that just the information surrounding the attack is all we need to focus on right at this moment. George was being beaten. He had his head bashed on the concrete, and he's screaming for help. So even if he was the aggressor, we can just ignore that part. You can't argue that, oh, well, George was the aggressor. That's a dead story, because even if he was the aggressor, even if we gave you that one, and we don't because there's no evidence of it, but let's just say that it's absolutely proof that he was the aggressor. He's crying out for help for over 40 seconds. If he was fighting, he's given up. When you're yelling for help, you gave up. And then they say, oh, well, he can't prove that he was yelling for help. Yes, we can prove it, because we have the record. There are recordings of Trayvon. We've been waiting for those recordings, and they have not been released to us. But as soon as we get hold of those recordings, we can prove that it wasn't Trayvon. This should be real simple. So anyhow, I just thought it was funny that George and his side was going to be gagged at the time that they're just starting to get all the information. The judge is just now starting to say, okay, hand it over, forcing it, and the state is starting to pass it and they want to shut it down now. They shouldn't be talking about all this stuff. It might bias the jury pool. Yeah, bias them in favor of George. And it's not going to bias them. It's going to say, what? All this time we thought that George was a bad guy, and all he was doing was trying to get this kid from killing him, trying to get him off of him? Yeah, that's going to be a real case there. Here in Florida, we really don't take kindly to people that want to kill other people. So when we see a case like this, we say that guy got what was coming to him. If you're beating somebody down, busting their head on the concrete, busting their face up, they're crying out for help, then, sorry, he shot you. I feel sorry for you, but that's just the way it goes. And like I've said in other videos, it's a lesson to the young people. Please, young people, don't think that you can do what Trayvon did, because you're going to get what Trayvon got. And even if you were right, just think about this. Just think about this. If you were right, this guy's following me. I'm going to go over there and punch him in the nose. Fine, go ahead. But just realize that the guy might shoot you, and he might get away with it. Just remember that. This is a great lesson for you guys. Anyhow.